What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports Hardwood show for some Friday night action in the NBA. Got a full slate of games. We'll dive in and break them down game by game. But before we do that, got to bring in my co-host, as always. Mr. Big T is on the show. We'll get to him later. He's not the important one today. He's the one. The Workbench play did work out, and we're excited. Third day in a row. But we're going to go to the man that took down six figures, over $100,000 last night. Absolutely dominated the NBA DFS streets, and that's our very own Mr. JSU. What's going on, and then kind of walk us through yesterday and the whole process and the sweat and everything. It was a good one for you and a ton of people at Run Pure Sports. We'll get into all of it, but let's start with you. Just talk about the sweat last night. That was an impressive victory.
Yeah, before I get into that, I just want to apologize for everyone with that graphic of Titletown as opposed to my face. I am sorry that you had to see that man Titletown's graphic picture on our show instead of mine. I apologize to you. I am sorry for that. I'm going to pick someone right friggin' now for some gear because that is not okay. We got to pick someone. We'll do that as I talk.
You don't want to be. You don't want your mug to be mistaken for titles.
Oh God, no! Like, are you kidding me? That flow in the oh, gee, no way! Like, oh God, titles in the chat. I love it. But yeah, so I'll pick someone for some gear. But yeah, it was a good night. I'll tell you right now, like the sweat, the OT. Obviously, I mean, Tony's guy, Jokic, just absolutely carrying us to OT with that shot in the corner, which was huge. And then just kind of watching it kind of climb with Luka and Jokic. And who was Willie Cauley-Stein, who I kind of fell on as a last piece. Wasn't a guy I was like trying to jam in there. But I remember the 2v2 because I talked up Vanderbilt on my show. If you remember at RPS, we do a premium show up to lock, and Jared Vanderbilt was a guy I talked up really hard, and I wanted to play Vanderbilt on this lineup. And I remember because like the 2v2 was like Edwards and Boban, who I also talked about as like a contrarian play, or Willie Cauley-Stein and Vanderbilt. And I just wanted to play Vanderbilt so bad. I saw Willie was starting, and I was like, I'm going with it. I went with the Vanderbilt. Cauley-Stein, and Cauley-Stein, did it for me. He got a few points at the end, and that helped me kind of boost me up. And then Luka and Jokic, obviously together, the pairing was what finished it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was a night where, I mean, if you landed on those stars, I mean, if you landed on Luka, if you landed on Jokic, Lillard had a monster. Did that lineup have Lillard too, or no?
No, it actually didn't.
Yes.
It didn't.
See, on FanDuel, FanDuel. You needed those three. You needed the three of them. On DK, you probably couldn't have got up to all three of them. So that was kind of the difference there. Who was part of the core? No, I mean, you're on Joe Harris. Tony talked about him. He was the Workbench play of the day, crushed. Who else was in that lineup?
Yeah, so my core on DraftKings was Joe Harris, Caris LeVert, TLC, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah,
and who is the guy I'm blanking on right now? I'm blanking on the
so
fifth
if you're
guy,
not a member at Run Pure Sports, all our main contributors release a core of players, anywhere from usually 4 to 6 dudes that they're going to be playing in their lineups tonight. And JSU puts his out every day. Tony puts his out every day. AP. There's always a fourth person as well. We have a cash sheet that I do. Mangone does. It kind of breaks down. It's a positional list of all the guys that we think are in play for cash games, and then we kind of highlight the ones that we think are core plays or building block type plays. And I know the cores were on point. The cash cores were on point last night. I mean, my core for cash last night was Lillard, Jokic, and Caris LeVert. Obviously, Caris LeVert was very, very popular, but if you had those three together, would have been pretty tough to lose money. And we had a lot of guys that just did so well last night. We have a Discord chat, very active. That's one of the more rewarding things last night, honestly. Like, I did very well myself. I didn't have the $100,000 hit that JSU did. I did well, and I was competing at the end, and I pull up the contest where I'm hoping to climb, and I'm looking up that leaderboard, and all I see is that RPS logo. So the fact that I didn't get there, I'm good with that. I had a good night, but going into our Discord chat after those games finished was just awesome. I mean, that thing was just it reminded me, remember the days on FanDuel when they had that chat in the corner, and the more popular they got, that thing just kept cycling and cycling and cycling, and people are posting. That's what it felt like in that NBA chat. Tony, I mean, I know you were in there taking the victory lap with the crew. I mean, it was an exciting night all around. I think we tallied up some rough numbers, and these are rough, but it appears to be close to like $500,000 in wins, probably more from RPS members last night.
Yeah, it was just one of those crazy nights. I mean, I had a good night. I think I ended up winning like 5,000 or 6,000. Didn't even care because there was just so many, like $2 to win 2,000 and 25 to win 2,500, and those are the best screenshots, honestly. I mean, like someone in the chat right there, Jimmy B, turned 4 into 430. There was so many of those screenshots. Those are my favorites. Yeah, we had a dude win 170K that lives by me. We had JSU win 120K. Like we had the big dogs. Nothing wrong with those. I'm not saying those aren't amazing, especially the dude. I mean, I think that was his first big win. The dude that was talking to us yesterday, 170K. Like that's life-changing for a lot of people. So I love those nights. I mean, what an honor it is to be in the presence of maybe the best cash player in the world, Hoop. Definitely the best tournament player, JSU. I mean, it's just an honor to be in your two's presence today. I mean, wow, it feels good.
We're happy to have you by our side, buddy. We'll find a title for you by the end of the show.
Well, I already have a title. I already got the title. If you go on Run Pure Sports, you'll get the titles for all of us. You can check out Tony's title right there. I think it's pretty clear.
God.
So,
Stop.
Tony, you can tell us your title if you want, but it's pretty clear to me. So, first of all, I need to pick someone for a winner for sure. And this A. Dean, he comes out, he says, nice to have the white Earl Boykin on today. A. Dean, I love Earl Boykin. Let's go. Yes, winner, you got a shirt. I'm a big fan of Earl Boykin, always was. I'm pretty much a big fan of anyone who was short that made it to the NBA. So you're going to hit my heart when you go with that. So, hey, Dean, you get a T-shirt. Hit up Tony in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, hit up info@Run Pure Sports. We'll hook you up.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, guys, so this show is for free. We have a premium show that goes right to lock with JSU and Holden. In order to keep this one free, just all we ask is hit that like button, hit the subscribe. We got about, close to 400. If we get up to 200, we'll go ahead and give away another piece of gear. We love getting Tony to that FedEx store right after the show and get these things shipped out. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe. And we'll have some fun here today, man. It's going to be a fun one. So a new segment on the show, if you're new here, is the Workbench Play of the Day. And that's kind of like Tony's, guy that he thinks can get him to the top of the GPP leaderboard. It's not going to be a chalky play. It's not going to be a popular play. It's going to be a guy that comes in pretty low owned, and he expects him to do well. It's gone 3 nights in a row now. We had Wancho 3 nights ago. We had LaMelo Ball 2 nights ago. And then last night was Joe Harris. So at the end of this show, we're going to be looking to go 4 for 4. Things really gaining some steam. We're thinking about maybe adding a special part to the website devoted just to the Workbench play. I mean, people are loving it. It's a lot of pressure though now. I mean, you go 3 in a row, Tony. The expectations are starting to rise a little bit on this Workbench play. And before we get into I got to say, we got to give our boy Mr. Hayes, JT Hayes, some credit. He came in with the Eiffel Tower play of the day last night, and it was if you guys weren't watching, I mean, this is just the best part of the show, I think. So he gets all amped up. He's talking to us, and he says, I'm gonna name I'm not just a solo Workbench. He's like, it's gonna be a more than one partner basically Workbench. So he's insinuating that you're gonna be in the Workbench with a couple ladies. So we kind of named it the Eiffel Tower, and he goes, it's gonna be Damian Lillard. So he went with Damian Lillard. I'm still not sure if it was just a misspeak, or Tony, do you think he really thinks it's Lillard?
No, that's what's so impressive about our boy JT. I don't think he's really played that much basketball until like 2 weeks ago. He's so sharp that he's picked it up quick, had tons of big hits. He definitely thinks his last name is Lillard. So that makes it even better.
It was so good, man. And I mean, just to make it just full circle amazing, Lillard just goes off last night. I mean, just goes off. And could have gone off for more if that game didn't blow out. finally has the big game that everyone's kind of waiting for. It was, man, that
best
show.
Part of all that, though, is he's got a big C note coming Big T's way because it was a blowout, baby.
Yeah, it is right. He felt good about the game not blowing out. I guess it worked out well for him because it looked like he played 3 lineups and cashed them all
3 of them in the top 15 or something. So he definitely worked out well for him as well.
Yeah,
Tony,
great.
Before we start moving into the slate, you got to talk a little bit about your workbench play of the day. And not just that, though. He was coming off the bench, Tony. How could your workbench play be someone coming off the bench? I mean, how could he even be in your core? He was coming off the bench.
Well rested and ready to perform.
I don't get it. Talk to people about it.
One of my favorite parts of these NBA shows is I get to make fun of all the optimal people that just go in and click the optimal button. Because once a guy comes off the bench, people run for the hills. Oh, I can't play him. He's coming off the bench. JSU, can you still play Tyrese Maxey in his third leg hanging down to the ground if he comes off the bench? Can you do it, JSU? Yeah, you put him in there. Tyrese Maxey, crush. Yeah, Joe Harris, crush. Boban's not going to be in the projections, people. Don't worry. Boban season. Love it.
Yeah, and that is a difference in what you get here at Rum Pure Sports. So I mean, we kind of jerked each other off a little bit. Now we're going to jerk off the company, and then we're going to get into the analysis. Like it's a little bit different of a product. I mean, so many sites around the industry are just projection based, and it's all projections and what the projections spit out. And yeah, I mean, for NBA DFS, that stuff's pretty important. I'm not saying it's not, but man, in this day and age, you have to go beyond the projections because everyone's building their lineups based on the projections. Last night, Joe Harris, great example. He's coming off the bench. He's a little more expensive than those cheap guys on the Nets. You can kind of see his ownership's going to be low. He's not projecting well. So, you know, that's kind of where I think our product goes a step further. Yeah, we have the projections. Yeah, we have all that fancy stuff that you need. But we go a step further with, you know, now we're watching these sports every single night. I mean, all 3 of us, I think, are watching these NBA games. And, you know, we're playing as well. A lot of sites have these guys that are contributors that aren't even playing DFS. I'm sorry. Like, if I'm getting analysis from someone, I want to know that they're in the streets, they're playing, they're grinding. And that's kind of what you get here at Rum Pure Sports. I mean, all our main people are heavy in the DFS streets, night in, night out. You get the guys that we're playing. So, you know, Rum Pure Sports is where all our content is, rumpuresports.com. In honor of the new Workbench play that has been crushing, we have a promo going, Workbench 21. So new year, 21 at the end. That's, you know, for 2021, Workbench 21 gives you 25% off your first payment at Rum Pure Sports. Got a ton of NFL content that's we're finishing up right now for the playoffs. That'll be out, you know, hopefully by tonight. I know some of the stuff's already on the site. More will trickle in tonight and into the morning. So head on over to Rum Pure Sports. Check it all out. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. Anything else, guys, before we dive into these games and break this slate down?
I just want to talk about the Boban a little further because they were talking about it in the chat. Did he crush? Again, we already took the victory laps. This isn't the victory lap portion right here. Yeah, he didn't crush. He got 15 fantasy points, I think, but he was 3K. He played like 16, 17, 18 minutes, whatever. He could have easily, like, he hit his floor, I think. You can't be totally results-oriented. All the calls we had yesterday, I will take my Boban call over my Workbench call, over my other calls. I think it was the toughest call, and sometimes they don't work out. Like 15 wouldn't have killed you, but it wouldn't have got you full Eiffel Tower like JT was talking about. You would have you'd have felt good. But in JSU, you said you had them in your main team that ended up winning, and then you pivoted off a little bit, right?
You know, I really wanted to play Vanderbilt, and I saw that team, and I knew it had a shot. Like after those first couple games before the night games went off, I knew this team could be good, and I was just like, I talked up Vanderbilt. I had to go with Vanderbilt, even though I thought, like you, Boban was going to play, which was my one worry with Willie Cauley-Stein. So then how much time do each of these guys get? Boban ends up seeing 18 minutes. Obviously, Cauley-Stein sees a little bit more, but still, it wasn't like he saw a ton more. He saw the run at the end. So if people just watch the end of the game, they'll say, oh, well, Cauley-Stein was in there at the end. And yeah, he was. But Boban played some significant minutes coming off a game where he didn't come off the bench the game before, or something like that. So like to project a guy playing because of the opponent's center. No one was doing that, first of all. Not one person. Tony was the first person, I guarantee, from any site to come on a live show and project and tell people Boban is in play because he's gonna play against Jokic.
We said it on the show even. We said you'll go to look at your optimizer. It's gonna say 0. It's not a misprint. Just get him in there.
Yep. Yeah. And if you told me he plays 18 minutes at 3K, I would play him. I would play him a lot. Like literally a lot.
If they put 18 minutes in the optimizer yesterday, he would have hit on everybody's team.
Yep.
Like everybody would have played Boban if you knew that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it goes a step beyond the projection. No projection was going to have you on him. I mean, yeah, you didn't need him to win anything, and it doesn't matter though. The analysis was spot on. Like he was going to get on the court and play. He's a guy that if he typically plays, he crushes even in small periods of playing time. He's able to put up a ton of fantasy points. So it was a great call, Tony, for sure. Anything else, boys?
Time to pick some more winners now that we got done with the circle jerk.
Got done with the jerk off. Now we're gonna, time to go back to back. I want it to happen again tonight. I have a good feeling that it will. We'll dive into this slate, and like all these slates, I mean, there's a lot of news that we're still kind of waiting on. It seems like every day now with these later games, there's news that we don't have. And that is the case again today, and we've talked about it on the last few shows. Like it's a tough balance. Like, all right, do you want to kind of backload your lineups for the news? We had the decision last night with the Lakers. LeBron's questionable, AD was questionable. You could have backloaded. I backloaded a little bit. I still did fine. Without, with that news not breaking my way with the Lakers guys tonight, they're both questionable. And I think with LeBron James, he's just going to continue to be questionable every single slate. I mean, maybe eventually he misses one. I don't know. We have Darren Fox late questionable. If he's out, I mean, there's a big group of guys that would get a massive boost. So, I mean, for me, I'm more kind of looking at that Darren Fox thing opposed to the Lakers news, but we'll get there. We're going to go game by game. The first one on the slate is the Suns and the Pistons. Totals 215.5. Suns favored by 8. And, the Suns aren't the same Suns that we've seen in the past, the fast run and gun type team with, trying to score 130 points. It's just not the case anymore. We talked about on the show last time. It's just really hard for me to play a guy like Devin Booker with Chris Paul kind of taking over so much of those ball handling responsibilities. He's had some decent games, but it hasn't been anything that you absolutely needed him. I mean, you're looking 25 fantasy points, 42, 35, still priced up to over 8K on FanDuel or on DK. So, I mean, I'm going to be off of him. Ayton, the price is still up there. I mean, this game overall is a tough one. It could just be one that we pass on. On the Pistons side, I mean, they're one of the more difficult teams for DFS. I mean, even with injuries here and there, I mean, they're just a difficult team to pin down and project. So for me, in cash games, for sure, I'm going to be off this game. I don't see anything that stands out. Ayton is 7-2 on FanDuel. He's interesting, but we have one really cheap center that we'll talk about when we get there that I think is a really strong play. So for me overall, this is a game that I'll be staying away from. I'll go to you first, JSU. Does that differ at all in tournaments tonight?
Yeah, not really on such a big slate. And I like to kind of cancel some games out. I definitely am not someone who wants to spread myself out too much with all these games. I want to try and focus on, 3 main games. So this is a game where I'm kind of in agreement with you. I just don't want to focus on the Suns. Like Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Ayton, they kind of all take a little away from each other, where if 2 of them were playing and 1 was out, I think those 2 would probably smash a lot of the games. But when all 3 of them are together and Chris Paul, in the half court, not pushing as much, it's tough to say. Chris Paul's been consistently decent, but not enough where I want to play him at 7K. I need that upside in tournaments. Chris Paul right now is just showing no upside. And Devin Booker's kind of the same thing. He's been consistently scoring 20-plus points a game, but from a fantasy side, he's not doing enough to hit the price tag he's at least for tournaments anyways. And I think Ayton's the same way. So until that changes, I'm off. And then Detroit, I mean, DeLon Wright, he's cheap, but it seems like the coaching staff doesn't like him. doesn't want him in there. Josh Jackson should be back. I think it's just a stay away, personally.
Yeah. The Suns, I think you nailed it. And there's a few teams that are like this, and we talk about them when we get there. Like Utah Jazz are another team. Like there's just not enough to go around, and like they need an injury, I think, before we start to consider some of these guys. And to me, right now, the Suns are in that category. Like if Chris Paul were to miss game, I'd love Devin Booker because he'd handle the ball and be the main distributor. But as it stands right now, like they're healthy for the most part. There's just not enough to go around. Tony, are you seeing this any differently than us?
Yeah, and this is one of those slates that we haven't had the last few days where we only have one 7 o'clock game, I believe, right? Yeah, this is the only 7 o'clock game. Kind of an ugly game, so you definitely don't need to force anything. I mean, nothing sticks out really unless we get some injury news. Yeah. If I was going to play anyone from Detroit, it would definitely be one of the young guys like Isaiah Stewart for 3,100. You probably don't need it. There's tons of value, but definitely not ever playing like Blake Griffin, Plumlee, Jeremy Grant for a crazy price. I'm not playing any of those guys. If anyone, I'll play one of these young dudes like Isaiah Stewart.
Yep. All right, we'll move on to the next one. We got it looks like a 10-game slate, so we got 9 more. We'll find some good plays mixed in the 9 games here moving forward. Thunder Knicks totals 211. Knicks favored by 2.5. I mean, for me, we also talked about this on the last show. Like the Thunder, they're kind of like a dead team to me. I mean, sure. I mean, you can make the case for Gilgeous-Alexander probably every night. I mean, he's going to have some good games. He's going to have some bad games. His bad games will probably most likely be on nights they get blown out, which could happen a lot over the course of the season. I'm not an SGA guy. If his price came down a little bit, yeah, sure. I mean, he did drop 50 last game, but I don't know. For me, it's like, you're either on him or you're off most nights, and I'm going to be off him. The Knicks, on the other hand, I've been riding some of these Knicks, and man, the results have been very good. It's always important in NBA DFS to kind of know, the ins and outs of the coach and what the coach has a tendency to do. And we know what Thibodeau is going to do. Like if these guys are playing well and they're in a competitive game, these guys will play 40 minutes. Elf has a 40-minute upside. Barrett does. Randall does. Mitchell Robinson coming off a really big game. I think he even got to 41 minutes last time out against Utah. So that is so valuable for DFS. I think, the price tags on these guys much, much better on FanDuel opposed to DK. That was the same case last time out, last time they played as well. So for me, more FanDuel plays, and a guy like Mitchell Robinson, like FanDuel suits his game much better anyway. So I think Elf, Barrett, Randall's price is even starting to come up on FanDuel a little bit. Mitchell Robinson, I think all those guys are in play for me. This is a game that should be competitive, and I think all you really need with the Knicks is a competitive game, and these guys could get out there, play 40 minutes, and have big fantasy outputs. So, Tony, what is your thoughts here on the Thunder Knicks game?
Man, I'm having nightmares from the other night, too, because the last 3 nights I've been, like, dead on. And, man, 2 nights ago we had Title on the show, and we argued on the show a little bit. I mean, I wasn't clear in the direction, but Austin Rivers versus Quickly, it came down to my night where if I would have played Rivers over Quickly, I would have won over 100K easy. And we argued on the show about it.
Oh, yeah,
Title liked Rivers. I liked Quickly. And Title gets the victory on this one because Rivers went off. Quickly didn't play very much at all. So you get this victory, Title. You're not going to get it on the one-on-one game, but you get this victory. I'll tell you that much. Tonight, I mean, Austin Rivers, I don't know if I'm buying in too late, but, man, he's just looked good. He's played 33 minutes the last 2 games. He went off. I definitely think you could play him if you wanted to. His price is up a little, though. Definitely don't need him. He has looked good, though. He's passed the old eye test, and this coaching staff likes their, like, veteran-type guys that they can run out there and just grind into the ground. Like Taj Gibson for all those freaking years. Like, this could be the new Taj Gibson where just plays a ton of minutes. All these guys, I don't think a lot of people are going to play Randall, but, I mean, he's going against a team without bigs that he's going to play 42 minutes again.
Yeah.
You could easily get 60 tonight and crush this slate. There's no one that can guard him. No one's going to play him. I like that. I think the Knicks always have to at least be in play for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I said, anytime you got a team where in competitive games, these guys are going to play 40 minutes. Austin Rivers, 32. I mean, it's easy to make a case for a lot of these guys, like from a fantasy perspective. And it's not just like dudes that are grinding it out. Like they've all shown upside to some degree. I mean, they've all had monster games. Peyton has had a monster game. Barrett, Randall does every night. Robinson, Austin Rivers. I mean, you're talking about guys that have the potential to get way up there. I'll flip it over to you, JSU. What are you doing here with the Knicks, and then anything on the Thunder side?
Yeah, the Knicks seem like a perfect team to like consistently game stack when you hit close games and all these guys are playing 38 minutes and you got the main core of like Randall, Peyton, friggin' Mitchell Robinson played 41 minutes last game, Barrett. Like all these guys are going to play big minutes. So you pick 2 or 3 of them and then run it back with someone from the OKC side. I mean, probably the safest one is maybe SGA, but like Darius Baisley's been playing really well. I think he's another guy you could look at. But man, can you imagine Julius Randle, almost 10K, and we're talking about him as like still a really good play at 10K. It's unbelievable that we're talking about Randle, but I think he's in play again. He does too much for that team. Assists, rebounds, everything.
This chat, JSU. I mean, good thing we brought you on. I mean, we might get ran out. Me and Tony might get ran out of this place. They don't want to hear from us.
That's what happens. It's the story of my life. That's what I'm saying. It's an honor. It's an honor to have him on the show with us.
Joe Con, is JSU going to speak? We need JSU. Speak up, brother. Only here for the JSU content.
I mean, that's what I said. It's an honor.
I'll tell you right now, though, this show, if you watch this show this weekend, I guarantee you there are people out there that profited. They might not even be RPS members. They probably just watched this show, and I guarantee you they profited off of some of the calls that have been made off this show. So, I mean, I appreciate all the love. I love it. Trust me, anytime I can get Tony, one-up Tony in anything, I'm so in for it because I love beating Tony. Nothing's better. I'll tell you right now, I'll give some money back right now just to beat Tony in like cornhole and some of these other games that he probably whooped my ass in.
You're getting a little excited now. Easy.
I'll tell you though, I'm just saying, but I'm with you.
Though, I mean, just a solid victory, like outside of DFS over Big T, is one of the better feelings in life. I'll join you too. I'd make some sort of donation just to get a defeating victory of Big T in any sort of streets, whether it's a cornhole or, I mean, basketball. I think I beat him, but a cornhole victory that would feel good. But the people, I'm glad you hopped on. The people definitely want to hear from you. And go ahead.
Here's the question. Here's the question: Is Austin Rivers at 4,300 after that one game where he's gotten 33 and 32 minutes, but he took 14 shots last game, mainly because he was hot and he was playing well. Does he take another? Like, is this going to be the normal Austin Rivers where he's just going to start jacking up shots now?
I think so. I mean, with this team and Thibodeau, it just seems like he's a coach that just, wants Austin Rivers out there chucking, and he comes in and he's instantly chucking. I think it is. Tony, what do you think?
I do think it feels like a little bit of a reach to me. I still like him. I'm not saying he's a fade by any means, because the good thing is if he comes out hot, he's going to play the minutes. I guarantee it. But Thibs is going to play a hot hand approach. So I'm looking at the same 2v2, Rivers and Quickly. They were similar prices last game. I'm not saying to play Quickly because it is a thin play. It's definitely thin. But if he gets out there and hits some shots and Rivers is cold, you know what Thibs is going to do? He's going to play Quickly over Rivers. I guarantee it. It's just what's going to happen. Definitely a tournament play. I'm not it's not going to be a Workbench play. None of that. But just looking at the prices. Last game, I was torn on the two. I went Quickly. Now there's a 1,200 difference. Everyone obviously would play Rivers over him, but I don't think it's that much separation as other people might think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think Rivers is going to have pretty decent ownership today. I mean, the
even at 43, we think he's going to get owned pretty. I think he's a bad play.
I think he's going to get owned. People are going to see 30-plus minutes in 2 games, and he's still – I mean, yes, he's not 3,300 or 3,500 Austin Rivers, but he's 4,300, still somewhat cheap.
I mean, he went 9 for 14, and he got 35 fantasy. He's not going 9 for 14 again.
That's my point, though, is like if he's going to have ownership –
I think he's a terrible play if he's on. Like if you guys,
I think he is on. I think he will be on.
Here's the other question too, Tony. Is I think quickly minutes are tied to Alfred Payton, not to Austin Rivers. I think Austin Rivers minutes are a little more secure because Reggie Bullock and him. I think he's just better. And when Bullock's missing from the outside, especially, he's going to come in and play. I think Quickly is more tied to Payton. If Quickly comes in and he plays well, I think it's bad for Payton, not necessarily bad for Rivers.
Yeah. And Elf can get in foul trouble, too. This is why people watch these shows, because we're going to dig a little deeper. I mean, again, all week, too. Like, at least 3 of the last 4 days, we've come on and said, the 3,100 Quickly tonight got you 7. You're not dead. Yeah. But you know what happens if he gets an extended run, plays 25 minutes, gets hot, and goes for 30? You're going to have a chance to ship tournaments. That's just how it works with these cheap guys. I mean, I don't hate Quickly. He's not going to be like a lock piece, but, I mean, 3,100 is 3,100. That is so cheap.
Yeah, and like we've talked about on the last couple of shows, like it's not necessarily what these stone min guys do in terms of fantasy points. It's what it allows you to do with the rest of your lineup. So, yeah, I mean, don't get discouraged if you play a cheap dude and he comes out with a stinker. You're not dead. You're never dead. Like, it's easy to make up those points. I mean,
don't even think about getting in that damn chat if he's struggling, because that chat, you'll want to bridge jump if he's struggling and you get in that chat.
Yes, it's a dangerous place when guys are busting. That is for sure. All right, we're going to move on to the next game. Hornets Pelicans. Total is 217.5. Pelicans favored by 7. And this game, you know, we talked about the Hornets, and they are, you know, for me, a pretty tough team for fantasy. They have a lot of guys that can score. Gordon Hayward coming off the monstrous, I think it was like 60 fantasy point game. Yeah, 61. In 39 minutes. I'm not chasing that after this big price bump. He's up to 8.4 on DK. I'm not paying that price tag. LaMelo Ball is a guy that continues to impress. The Workbench play a couple nights ago got it done. Slight price bump. I mean, he's 6'5" right now. I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, more of a tournament play. Curious to see what you guys think about that. And then on the Pelican side, you know, for me, I'm going to kind of ride the prices here with guys like Ingram and Zion all season long. Anytime Zion comes in under 8K, I think he's a good fantasy play. 7.9K. I just think he's a steady 40 fantasy point producer. Maybe he's better for cash games. I don't know. I think he's clearly in play here at 7.9K. Ingram, 8.5K. But there's not a ton that I like in this game. I'll go to you first, JSU, so I don't get in trouble from the chat. Any interest in LaMelo Ball or anyone else here in this game?
Yeah, interesting because, you know, Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball, when they're on the court, I mean, they're pretty solid defenders. They get, you know, they're feisty in there. I think it's going to be really fun to watch LaMelo and Lonzo. You're going to think that they're going to try and guard each other. You would think anyways. I know if I was facing my brother, I would definitely want to guard him on the court. They're both good defenders. Like, I think that's going to be really interesting to watch. From a fantasy side, though, it's the tough thing about LaMelo is his price is going up, but the minutes aren't necessarily as secure as you might think. I mean, Devonte Graham plays like 24 minutes 2 games ago and then comes out and plays 38 minutes. Yeah. Well, if Devonte Graham plays 38 minutes again and Rozier continues to get his like 28 to 30, LaMelo's kind of stuck in this like 25-minute range, which he could still get there the way he's just so good at rebounding. He gets assists. He pushed the pace. That's why he's so good, it looks like, to start from a fantasy standpoint. But, man, I want him to play 30 minutes. I think it's dicey that he gets it, but if he does get it, he's a strong play here, but I'm not sure if he does, and that's my worry. I think Lonzo is actually a little more of an interesting play going up against his brother. I think this could be a Lonzo spot. I don't mind either of them, but honestly, I kind of like Lonzo here. I kind of think that it's going to be big brother putting it to little brother a little bit here. But, yeah, and I agree with you on Zion. If he's under 8K, I mean, he has to be in play. This is a good matchup for him. He should be able to dominate inside. I like that call. I think that he's good. And, yeah, Brandon Ingram, I would prefer him over Gordon Hayward Like you said, Gordon Hayward's just maybe a little too pricey now for me, but he is at least getting the minutes. That's the one good thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's in competitive games. He's going to get unlimited minutes. I mean, he'll probably be close to 40 in competitive games. So, I mean, someone that's as skilled as him, yeah, if he's going to play 40 minutes, he could definitely get there and have the big fantasy games. But 8-4 is it's a tough price tag to pay for sure on this slate. Tony, we'll go to you. Are you back on LaMelo Ball here? I know you've kind of been riding him. He was workbench play a couple nights ago. Or anyone else in this game interest you?
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of where watching the games and knowing basketball a little bit, I think, gives us an edge because, yeah, I've been super high on Charlotte lately, but they've had good matchups. I mean, against the Hawks is a really good matchup for LaMelo. Against New Orleans is maybe the worst matchup, I think. I mean, Bledsoe and Lonzo both defend really well. They got two bigs at the rim that can defend. LaMelo can't shoot. I mean, this game, I mean, their team total is only 105. I think it's a clear stay away spot for me, besides Ingram and Zion, who are always in play. I guess I put Lonzo in there too. I don't think Lonzo's like a great play by any means, but if he's like a last piece, I think he gives it to little brother too. I kind of like JSU's call on that, but the Charlotte guys are clear fades for me. They came through for me 2 nights ago, treated me well, but you got to know when to get off the ship before it goes down. I mean, this New Orleans plays slow. They defend good. I can't think of a worse matchup for Charlotte than this matchup. And I think New Orleans could blow them out too, honestly. Like, New Orleans matches up really, really good with Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I guess Ingram, Zion, Lonzo, little interest, but I mean, none of them are like workbench plays or anything either.
I like how now everything's classified as either a workbench play or not a workbench play. I mean,
in consideration, they got to work their way up the total.
Exactly. I like it. It's kind of like a process of elimination. I actually, it's good. And by the end of the show, we might have a couple guys where we can kind of predict where Big T's going, and we'll say, I mean, now, like I said, the pressure's up now, but I mean, that's 3 in a row. Like, people are gonna. The bar is high, so make sure you're doing your work and studying here for sure.
I'm already studying.
What do you think?
A few notes.
What do you think about Devonte Graham? Is he going to be someone that people kind of chase after 38 minutes and finally putting out a decent game at that cheap price?
I don't think so. I think people are kind of off him. They see the writing on the wall, and he's clearly the guy that suffered the most with Ball's emergence. And yeah, one good game. Maybe if he does it a couple games in a row, I think people will get back on him. But the fact that it was so inconsistent early on, you look at the game log, and prior to that last game, he hadn't broke 25 fantasy points in 5 games. So yeah, I mean, if he has back-to-back solid games here, maybe people start to get on him. I don't think people are going to hop back on him just yet.
I'll say one thing about Devonte is, so we're talking about how good he played last game, 39 minutes. He was 2 for 14. The game before, 5 for 13. The 2 games before, 1 for 10, 1 for 10, 3 for 8, 5 for 15, 4 for 16, 4 for 13. He can't throw it in the ocean. Like, he hasn't made a shot all season. If he ever makes some shots, he's going to have a big game at some point, like an explosion game. I don't think it's going to come tonight, but let's keep an eye on the schedule. If he gets a cupcake matchup coming, we could really get a big game from him.
Yeah. Before we move on, we just have to acknowledge the fact that the all-time great Mr. Head Chopper has joined us in the chat. So, Head Chopper, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Congratulations on the
He said the same thing I said on their show the one day. Who's got the? We know Big T's got the biggest shaft of the 3.
Easy, buddy. Easy.
It's just the facts. Like,
don't forget,
I said it was an honor. You guys said my title. I'm the master of the workbench. I did have an afternoon session today. I'll throw that out there. I definitely dominate that section. It's just
you and I. Don't forget, you and I have slept under the same roof on multiple occasions. So I mean, don't be so sure of yourself. But yeah, it's good to have Head Chopper here. I mean, wins $1 million. Doesn't even talk about it. I mean, doesn't even celebrate. Just a very humble guy. It's very rare in this industry.
The first time he won it, he said he didn't even tell his wife.
I mean, that is an all-time move right there. It's one thing to not want others to know, but your wife, to hide that from your wife for a while. How do you do that? Like, I couldn't even imagine. I don't even know how that works, but Chop, I mean, I'm proud of you, man. That's impressive right there. I didn't even know that.
We've talked about the basketball when JSU, he took me down in the tournament. Chop had maybe the play of the tournament. This dude came from half court. Some joker on my team missed, probably Mangone, threw up a brick. Chop came out of nowhere from half court, got the board, stuck like a tip layup. It wasn't a dunk because he's a little older now, but a nice little tip in, stuck it, and then told the guy, "That's on you."
Oh, we got all the guys. We got Kirky in here, man. It's good to have you guys all in. It's good. We need to get the whole crew together at some point. Just
Kirkwood,
solid group of guys.
My boy.
Dominating Yahoo streets. If you want to make any money in Yahoo, you got to go through Kirky, and it's tough to do that. Another big win last night.
Kirky shipped the NFL, I think, last week. Congrats, Kirky. I think I saw that.
Did he screenshot it, JSU?
I don't know. I don't know if he did, actually.
There's a lot of rules out there about screenshotting we heard about. Wow. You might not be allowed to go down that path.
I put my arms up with the screenshots. I'm not even getting. Don't even make me start talking about it right now. All right. I love Chop. I love Kirkwood. I love all those guys. They're great. All right. I apologize if I offended you with my screenshot today. I didn't mean to do it. I swear. All right. It wasn't to you. It was
Kirky's got a tough job, man, managing that CPC poker group. I mean, a lot of rough dudes in there, and he runs a tight ship. I mean, you cross Kirky, you're paying the price. You're gone. Yeah, no warnings, out.
He shipped everyone. He shipped me at some point, Hoop at some point, I'm sure. JSU, he leaves him in there because he does donate in the poker streets.
JSU is a bad poker player. Like, of course, Kirky will leave me in there. Whenever I go in there, I lose. So, of course, Kirky's like, come on in. And Kirk's like, not bad. Like, all these guys, like, are really good poker players. I'm definitely, by far, have to be the worst. Like, out of all you. Like, you guys are good. I'm so bad. It's, like, obvious.
The one way to never get kicked out of the Corona Poker Club is to not be good at poker. If you're not good at poker, you have no chance of getting the boot. I mean, you could say whatever you want to Kirky. He's not giving you the boot if you suck at poker.
That's for sure. That's why I'm still in there, I think, for some reason.
We got all the guys, Bobby, Fi. I mean, the whole crew's coming back together. Glad to have you guys. Hit that like button for us. Why don't you, Kirky? I want you to orchestrate these likes going up. Get us to 300, buddy. While you're in there, get this chat amped up.
Kirkwood should be hitting this like button. Come on, we started out together. Like
Chop says, Chop with the line of the JSU is to poker what Mangone is to layups. Like that couldn't be more true.
Oh gosh, good times.
That's
a lot of fun. All right, we'll get back on track here. We'll try to. We got the Wizards, but seriously though, hit the like button. We got 620 watching. Get us up to 3 bills, 3 spins in honor of Big T's weight. Get us to 3. Next game we
Big T, you hiding?
Yeah, hiding under the desk.
I didn't after that one, guys.
Oh gosh,
he's hiding.
All right, next game is a good one for DFS. We got the Wizards, we got the Celtics. The total is 236.5. Big boy total there. Celtics favored by 4.5. And this morning we get the news that a bunch of these Celtics guys are out due to the COVID protocol. Robert Williams out, Tristan Thompson out, a couple other scrubs, Grant Williams out. It leaves them with not many bigs. And, I think Daniel Tice is a guy that kind of sticks out right out of the gate, going to probably play around 30 minutes. Jason Tatum gets a big boost. Jaylen Brown, already a team that runs a pretty tight rotation. And these guys are going to play as many minutes as they can probably handle. Even Marcus Smart, I think, is in play a little bit here. And, the best part about this, it's literally like one of the best matchups here. Against the Wizards at home, should have no trouble scoring points. So these Celtics guys are going to be unpopular. Tough to stay away from them, in my opinion. On the Wizards side, Westbrook they said he has a thumb issue, was questionable, but not on the injury report now. He's going to play. Beal coming off a monster game. Tony, I'll go to you first. What's your interest level here in the Celtics? And, if you are going to play a Celtics, are you going to run it back with any Wizards?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to run it back for sure if you're playing some Boston guys. I mean, how good was it the other night to get a guy like Bradley Beal under 1% on FanDuel? Like, those are the plays that just get some blood flow to the old private parts. I mean, it feels good. And again tonight, Brad Beal's 10.1. Guys just don't pay that price for Bradley Beal with Westbrook in there. Westbrook, I think, is a better play tonight than Beal. I like Beal the other night just because of the shooting matchup, but both these guys are in play. Big Sexy Bertans, super cheap, 4.9, good spot. Rui, he let me down big time the other night. 4,800 though. He's 4,800 on both sides. That's too cheap for Rui against a matchup that Boston doesn't have bigs. I mean, freaking Taco, he's going to eat up Taco. So I mean, this game is just great. It reminds me of the Nets game yesterday where you can play all these guys in this game. I mean, basically everyone that's getting minutes is in play for me. And the Boston guys are borderline just locks. I mean, Tatum, 9,200 when the usage boost is going way up, obviously. I mean, Thies, I never want to play Thies. It's a play I like to stay away from. But, man, they have no bodies, like, whatsoever. 4,300 on DK. He's going to crush. So, I mean, everyone in this game is in play for me. Tons of guys. I mean, I guess the interesting guy is Taco. Like, how many minutes do we think this dude gets? They got no bigs. He's 3K. He's going to get blocks and rebounds. The same thing, Boban. The same thing with Boban. So, I mean, how many minutes do we think he gets? Because I think he's the polarizing option.
I mean, he'll play. I mean, definitely more in play on DK than on FanDuel. But, I mean, for me, I don't know if you necessarily have to go there. I mean, JSU, any interest in Taco and kind of break down this game here for us?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, with Daniel Thies, one thing I hate about, and I just don't think he's a good basketball player. The problem is he's bad, yeah. The problem is he's already seen decent minutes anyways, and now you take Thompson off the floor with him for a little bit. Thompson's a good rebounder. Sucks up a lot of those rebounds. Like, this is going to be a spot where he gets a boost clearly. It's tough not to look at him, but he's so bad. The thing with Taco Fall is I assume he's going to play at least I mean, they're not going to run Thies out more than 33 minutes. And that's if he doesn't get in foul trouble. He could get in foul trouble easily with guys like Westbrook going to the hole and Beal and Thomas Bryant, who's, tough inside as well. So that's the other thing to consider. I just don't know if Taco Fall's ready for this. I could see spots where Boston just tries to go small, even when Thies is off the court. It's going to be tough to do because you're going to have to play guys like Semi Ojeleye and obviously Tatum and all these guys are going to have to be in when they do this. Or they're going to have to trust Taco. If they trust Taco, he's going to struggle, especially, I think, on the defensive end. So I don't have any interest in Taco. I don't think, Tony, on this big slate. I don't think I'm going to play. I don't think he is. And
at most is like a Boban role where he plays 16 to 18.
I think upper teens. That's like the max he plays.
And they get another guard back with Jeff Teague, I guess, tonight. He's cleared to play, so that's just another guy they can put with Pritchard, and they can go small with those guys. So, who it is, whether it's a cheap guard or if it's Thies, but I think you want to play some of these Boston guys.
Yeah, we just got some pretty big news, which we'll touch on when we get to the game. Kyle Lowry is out, and that kind of reshapes the entire slate. Actually, let's just go there first, so make sure we have enough time to fully break down the Kyle Lowry news. So the Raptors are playing the Kings. Total is 225. Raptors favored by 5. That comes down maybe a couple. Darren Fox is questionable. So this game is going to be the premier game on the slate in DFS, and what you do in this game probably determines whether you win or lose tonight. There's going to be a lot of guys on the Raptors in play. Darren Fox is questionable. If he's out, Halliburton looks like a freaking stud. Corey Joseph will get a lot of run. All those guys will get a massive boost. JSU, I'm going to throw it to you first. The Kyle Lowry news, how does that kind of affect the overall slate for you?
Yeah, well, Fred VanVleet is just obvious, but the boost actually comes from the guys that are going to get more run because of it. Norman Powell is probably the guy that ends up starting. He's 3,900 on DraftKings. I can only assume he's wicked cheap on FanDuel as well. He's going to be someone that is probably going to be very popular now. we're assuming he starts. We obviously don't have that news yet, but we're assuming that's the case. OG Anunoby, I think, is in play, like more in play now. Terence Davis might get a little boost in run. He's 3K. And I think Terence Davis is a good basketball player. Had 17 minutes last game against Boston, had 22 fantasy points, had a good game. We've seen him in spots play pretty well. He might be able to get a little boost here too. Tony, what do you think of Terence Davis?
Yeah, I think he's good. For whatever reason, they've never liked him that much. He looks good when you watch him play, so I've never understood why he didn't get more run. I'm interested too. Like, obviously, with him out, we're going to have to like some of these guys. Even a guy like Malachi Flynn, I think he got to start one game, 3K. I mean, it's just he's 3K and 3,500 on FanDuel. Like, if he was to get the start in that spot, all these guards are in play now. They have to be against Sacramento. So we got to kind of wait and see what the news is. Obviously, whoever starts is going to end up chalky. But I think these like Terence Davis is in play either way. Like, he's going to have to get some minutes in the spot now. So, yeah, you have to like it. I mean, all these guys, even Pascal gets a pretty big boost. So he finally looked good last game. I mean, he played 38 minutes, 51 fantasy points. This matchup's pretty good. You have to like Toronto now.
I think it has to be Powell that starts. I mean, I'd feel pretty good saying that it's going to be him with a decent degree of certainty. I mean, obviously they could go a different direction, but to me, I think it's going to be Powell. He'd probably be, I mean, his ownership will be through the roof if he does indeed draw the start. But like you said, Siakam, rough start overall of the season, coming off a big game. I mean, big opportunity now for him. All these guys are in play. Now, the interesting part of this game is the Darren Fox. I mean, do you leave spots now in case he's out? I mean, because if Fox is out, I mean, massive boost for Halliburton, Corey Joseph, even these secondary guys, Buddy Hield, who hasn't got it going. Now with this news, backloading might look like the way to go. JSU, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, specifically for this game, obviously, but we still got the Laker news. Both those studs are questionable, right? We still got that news. So you could play and wait on both of these games. And I mean, who knows? If we get news that one of those Laker dudes is out, you could have a nice little team with focusing on just those two games. The Toronto game, like you said, if Fox ends up being out, that puts Halliburton as a much better play. That puts Buddy Hield as a much better play, even though he's so bad. Like, Buddy Hield is so bad.
Dude, what's going on? It's like, it's painful to watch out there.
Does anyone take worse shots in the NBA? I don't
terrible shots. He doesn't look like I'm not whatever. I mean, I don't think these guys need to look like they're in the best shape, but he doesn't look like he's in good shape. The shots, it's been a painful watch so far.
Yeah, it's been bad. I mean, I think this game it becomes one of the better game stacks. Like, this is a game that I think in tournaments we're going to want heavy exposure to in game stacks. And I'm definitely going to probably backload a lineup, at least out of my three, where I have a game stack of this game now because of this news and waiting on the Lakers news. I could kind of make it where it's a lineup with just those two games focused, like I said.
Yeah, and that's what's nice about this. You have 3 games starting at that 10 p.m. Eastern time slot. Got the Clippers Warriors right there too. I mean, there's plays in those games. So if you kind of build teams banking on Fox being out, there's a lot of different guys you can go to. Andrew Wiggins just popped up on the injury report. He's questionable as well. So there's going to be some plays. Tony, what are you doing here with this Kings situation?
Man, so one of the reasons I've done good the last 3 days is I've kind of pegged these situations perfectly. And I risked the failure of going different here and putting my 3-0 record the last 3 days on the line. But, man, I don't like Sacramento that much at all. Halliburton isn't even that cheap. I know I've been a little lower on him. I do think he's a talented guy, but he's just not that cheap for me. And I don't – like, sure, if Fox is out, I think he's okay, but I'm not like super excited to play him at 5,400 in this spot against Toronto. Van Vliet is a good ass defender. He's gonna clamp up Halliburton. I'm not in love with Toronto. Like, Norman Powell is gonna be chalk. That's the chalk I don't want to play. So I know this is a contrarian take for sure, but I don't like that game that much, and I think both Lakers guys play. So I'm definitely not as high on backloading as other people. And I think that's the trendy new thing to do. We see all this news late. Okay, let's backload it. Everyone does it. And these guys end up chalky. I've been right the last few days. See if I can make it 4 days in a row with this kind of news. But I'm not as high on the late stuff as other people will be.
Yeah, and I think backloading will clearly be the preferred route because you got a guy like Fox questionable, you got the Lakers guys questionable, who at this point it appears are just going to be questionable every single night with small to no intention of them actually sitting out due to injury. Maybe one of them rests a game here or there on a back to back, but you talked about it. LeBron's made the comments that he's just going to play, and it's been true so far. So. I don't know. We'll see.
I think you can take it further, though, Hoop. Like we said yesterday on the show, even if one of them sits, I don't think I'm like dead locked on playing the other one. They just don't care enough. They're not playing hard. They're not like, say AD's out tonight. Like LeBron's not going to go and just try to just go nuts against the Bulls on a Friday night in LA. Like he doesn't care. I mean, he might crush. Don't get me wrong. He could crush. But he could crush any. I'd be more interested in the Schroders of the world if one of them sits, not the stars. So I don't know. Like that news doesn't bother me all that much.
But that's where we would have interest in, though. Like I'm the same way. Like I would want Schroeder in my lineup. I like this matchup for him already, but I would want him.
Caruso at 3,100. If LeBron somehow sat and you could get Schroeder and Caruso for $6K and 3,100, like that is interesting there.
What about Horton Tucker?
I mean, I still can't get over that night when that dude was 40% owned. That was the most shocking night of the season for me. I literally don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some surprising ownership numbers, and then the position he was small forward, right? I think that specific slate, the position was somewhat weak, and then I'm guessing that's why. His ownership was up there, but that's in the past. We're trying to go 4 for 4 on the workbench plays, carry this momentum over. Let's touch on some of these other games. The Jazz Bucks, the total's 231. I mean, that is a big total. Bucks favored by 5.5. I think Ingles the one that's questionable. Some of it's questionable. Ingles is questionable. Yeah, he's the one that's questionable in this game. Would potentially be a slight boost to some of these other guys. Not the greatest of spots. On the Bucks side, I think Giannis is. I mean, you're going to have the value plays now to play a guy like Giannis if you want. Gun to my head, if I had to pick someone to score the most fantasy points on the slate, it would be him. It's going to be easy to play him. I think he's clearly in play. Chris Middleton has a nice price tag on FanDuel. I think he's in the conversation. I believe he's 7-4 over there. I mean, with all this news, all these plays, I mean, I don't really see myself going anywhere outside of Giannis. I'll throw it to you first, JSU. What are you thinking here?
Is it weird that I don't love this game? I look at this game. I know the total's pretty good, and Giannis is in play just because he's under 11K and he's Giannis. He can, from a fantasy standpoint, he's very good, but. Get a Utah team. You got Rudy down low. I don't love the Utah side either. I don't want to pick spots like Mike Conley and Mitchell clearly take a little away from each other being on the court together. This is not Devin Mitchell in the bubble. This is not what you're seeing right now. I'm sorry, Donovan Mitchell that you saw in the bubble last time out. This is different. He's not as aggressive as he was. Literally in the bubble, every play – he was going high pick and roll every single play when they played the Nuggets. It was literally just over and over and over, and no one could stop it. They're not doing that right now. So like Donovan Mitchell, even at 7,600, I'm just kind of off right now. I think Mike Conley is the one you could get a little value with at 6,400 if you wanted to play a Jazz guy. But I just don't love it. Like, Tony, do you like the Jazz tonight?
No, definitely not.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next game then, because we have quite a few to hit. And JSU, you're leading us up to lock as well. I mean, we got to give you adequate time to recoup and get going.
I'll be good.
All right, that is part of the premium package here at Run Pure Sports. our man JSU, who, I mean, the chat loves JSU. You can get more of him if you go to runpuresports.com, sign up as a premium member every single day, Monday through Friday, taking you up to lock with Holden, breaking down any news that might break all the way up to lock. Just go to Run Pure Sports, enter that promo code WORKBENCH21 to get you 25% off your first payment at runpuresports.com. So head on over there, check it out.
So before you go to the next game, like the chat is freaking out about Mitchell being too cheap. Why is he too cheap? He's not too cheap to me. Why is he too cheap? He's got Drew Holiday guarding him. Why? Why is he too cheap?
He was 6,800 like 3 slates ago.
Yeah.
Where'd that go?
Yeah, it's just not this. I mean, people, you got to adjust, season to season. I mean, 8 last year in the bubble, like you said, he was a 9K player in the bubble. What he's doing in the
regular
bubble
season before that, he sucked though. Like,
yeah. I think people still have the bubble stuck in their heads, and it's a different ball. It's a different ball game for them right now, and he's not doing what he was in the bubble. I mean, I don't see the upside, honestly. Like,
at all. Like, I don't think he ever goes and gets like 60 in this game.
Here's another thing too. To beat the Bucks, what do you have to be? You have to be a very proficient outside shooter, in my opinion, to have real success against the Bucks. Donovan Mitchell this year, 2 for 9, 2 for 10, 3 for 8, 3 for 10, 5 for 9. He's not a shooter. Yeah. So you're attacking the Bucks, who have great rim defense with Giannis and Brook Lopez as defenders. You're attacking that. Like Donovan Mitchell, he wants to get to the hoop and to the basket, uses athleticism to score. This is not a matchup where I don't think he's going to have success doing it. So you have to see him getting hot from the outside. Like, you have to see that Donovan Mitchell. That's why I think Mike Conley for 1,200 less, if you wanted a Jazz guy, I at least have seen Mike Conley go out there and put up threes and be able to hit those threes and have a big game once or twice this year. So that's what I'm looking at. I mean, 7 for 14 from 3. He went 11 for 20 against the Clippers, had 50 fantasy points. He's a guy who is set up nice to have a decent game here if the game stays close, and he's 1,200 less than Mitchell.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it.
Yeah, you got to adjust with players. You can't just view them the same, season in, season out, month in. I mean, things change, and to me, he's probably like a mid to low 7K player right now, fantasy wise, and I'm just not seeing it tonight. So I'll definitely be off him as well. We got the Magic Rockets next, 222 total. Magic, I mean, very thin at guard right now. Rockets are favored by 6.5 in this game. Very thin at guard with Fultz going down, Michael Carter-Williams out. Cole Anthony will draw the start. He's going to have some ownership. I mean, it's going to be a little bit lower now that we got the Fred VanVleet news. I think before the Fred VanVleet news or the Kyle Lowry news, him being out, I think Anthony would have been extremely popular tonight. Probably tempers his ownership a little bit. Tony, you've been talking about this dude. You think he's too small to get it done in the NBA. What are you doing here with the Magic, and then any interest in the Rockets guys tonight?
Yeah, I'm definitely not high on Cole Anthony, but it's matchups. The NBA is a game of matchups. Houston is always one of the best matchups because they don't have rim protection really. They're just not very, very strong. And they got no guards. Like if Fournier sits, which I think he's questionable still. I haven't seen an update on that. He's
questionable, yeah.
Like, if he plays, I definitely like Cole Anthony a lot less. If he sits, I mean, Cole Anthony is almost a lock. They don't have any guards. He almost has to get there. So,
yeah.
And Vooch, too. Like, Vooch is in a really good spot. He always has a big floor, big ceiling. I mean, he gets you everything you want. And then the Houston side, I mean, they just don't have a ton of playmakers either. Wall and Wood are always the two guys that stick out to me, but Wall's price is starting to get a little higher. What is he on FanDuel?
He's like 8,500, I think.
Yeah, I definitely don't like that as much, but I mean, this game does look good though. I mean, it should score points. It should stay somewhat close. So I could definitely see playing some pieces in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Fournier would be big. I mean, the news on him, whether or not if he's out, I mean, Cole Anthony would have to play a ton. Terrence Ross would have to play a ton, and he'd be chucking. So if Fournier's out, I think those guys get a massive boost. I mean, I didn't even mention. I mean, Aaron Gordon out too. I mean, so this is a thin team and a good matchup. A team that doesn't play all that much defense. So there could be some big opportunities for these guys. JSU, what are you thinking here in this one?
Yeah, I like this game. One key piece of news is going to be Christian Wood, because if he's out again, the Rockets play small a lot as is. Boogie Cousins only saw like 23 minutes on the floor. They opted to play small at the end of the game instead of bringing Boogie back in. I think they like to finish small no matter who they're playing. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Vucevic is going to be a monster down low. Boogie, like, they're not going to have the answer for him. But even if he's doing well at the end, that doesn't necessarily automatically mean that Boogie goes back in if Wood is out. He still is someone that probably ends up seeing the same amount of minutes, 23-ish minutes. And if that's the case, guys like Terrence Ross, even if Fournier plays, Orlando's going to play small with just Vooch as the big, and they're going to play guys like Ross. Cole Anthony will probably get more guys who can score, because against Houston, you're going to need to be able to go back and forth with this team, because John Wall against Cole Anthony on the other end is a mismatch. I know his price tag is a little much on FanDuel, and I'm pretty sure on DraftKings it went up too, but this is a good spot for a guy like John Wall. I wouldn't like him as much if Christian Wood is in, because I think Christian Wood does enough offensively and rebounding where it kind of hurts both Harden and Wall a little bit, because they're decent rebounders and they get assists and stuff like that too. But when Wood is in, he's like a double-double guy, I feel like, just about nightly. So I like this game. I think we can pull pieces from it. And I agree with Tony. I think Cole Anthony is a strong play, but a much better play if Fournier is out. Whereas Ross, I think Ross is more locked in.
Yeah, I mean, so another game where we need news. And, I mean, these guys would all get a massive boost if Fournier is out. So this game is, an hour after lock. But it is nice tonight. Like you said, like we talked about at the opening. The first game, the Pistons-Suns, you can just kind of fade that game and buys yourself another 30 minutes to get this news that we're kind of waiting on later. Next game, another game with news, the Nets, Grizzlies, 218.5, Memphis favored by 1. And the Nets will be without Kyrie Irving again, who I guess has decided that he doesn't want to play basketball. Didn't want to play the other day, and he's not playing again tonight. So that provides another opportunity for Karis LeVert, TLC, Bruce Brown, the workbench play the day last night, Joe Harris that went off, Jared Allen had a big night. All these guys, I think, back in play. Tony, I'm going to go to you first. I mean, can you go back to a guy like Harris after the workbench performance last night, or are you going to maybe be off him because people are going to be chasing it? Do you view LeVert as kind of like a lock play? Give me the rundown here of the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, LeVert for sure is going to be a lock play for me, more than likely. I mean, pretty much. His usage is just outrageous. As long as the game stays close, which it should, I mean, he's going to crush. There's no way around it. The other guys, I mean, I don't think Harris is going to be on because they're not going to start him again. They like him coming off the bench. It's going to be the same issue. People aren't going to see him pop in the projections, so he won't be owned, and he's still going to have the same amount of usage, so he's definitely in play. All of these Nets guys are in play. Chiozza is still 3K. I always like Chiozza. He played only 16 minutes yesterday. People won't really look at him, but he's 3K. Again, that price. I'd rather play him than these guys like Prince and Jeff Green, the super dusty guys. But, I mean, just to make it easy, I think LeVert and Harris are obviously the good guys. I mean, it's a huge slate, too. You don't really need to reach as much as like last night we had Jokic and Luka that we loved on the show. There's some guys tonight up top, but there's not those two that I thought were just total locks. So LeVert and Harris, and then the Memphis side, I got a lot of interest in Brandon Clark, who's been looking better and better to me.
I do like him too.
He looks tasty. I mean, he's 5,100 on FanDuel. You want to talk about a gem price? 5,100 against the Nets. He's going to eat.
Well, I talked about it. I mean, he started getting his playing time. They finally started him. He did okay, and then he gets 2 matchups with the Lakers. I mean, that's like the worst possible matchup for a guy like him. does better last game. I could see him having a big game. The minutes I think are very stable at around like 30, which is definitely good enough for him to pay off his price tag. And we've seen upside from him as well. JSU, what are your thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, this is another game that I think we got to have exposure to. Karis LeVert, I think, is another strong play. Joe Harris, again, is in play for sure. Jared Allen, I really like. He's been really good as long as he's getting the start. I like him again here. The other guy, the guy that I'm going to continue to go back to, and he's probably not going to pop for anyone. And, maybe I don't know if this is considered a little of a reach that Tony wouldn't like as much, but TLC, let me tell you, this guy, so he played 9 minutes. This is where watching the game is so important. He played 9 minutes in the first half of that game last night and had like 1 rebound. Like that was it. 1 rebound. He missed both of his shots or whatever he took. Played a really bad first half. The second half, the dude plays like 17 minutes off the bench. Finished out the game, played the whole, the whole rest of the game once he came in, didn't come back out. And he finished with 24 fantasy points. If he had even a subpar first 9 minutes of the game, he crushes. He would have scored 30. I think he's in play again. I think if he doesn't have a bad half in the first half, he might have played 12 minutes or 13 minutes as opposed to 9. They might have left him in. So I think he's someone who we can get at really low ownership. And he's more of a large field GPP play. He's going to be like 2% because people, like I said, they're going to watch that game. They're going to see 9 minutes in the first half. Not going to love it coming off the bench. 3,900 though. I think he's a sneaky play again. We can go right back to. And he's a good basketball player. I always talk about this. Even when you're playing these cheap guys, there are cheap guys that are that are just better basketball players. For instance, Jeff Green, not that great of a basketball player, pretty dusty. TLC, this dude is talented. Like he is actually talented. They were running set plays for him during that game. I like TLC here.
Yeah, I mean, very capable. I love talking about that too. I mean, when you're talking about playing a backup guy because of injury and whatnot, like there's guys that are just backups and they're not very good. There's guys that are backups that have potential and can play in this league. TLC is certainly one of the guys that has potential and he can play and compete in in this league. So I think that is a very good point. All right, quickly, let's touch on these last 2 games, and then we're going to pick somebody. So we got over the 200, about 700 watching. We're going to give one more piece of gear away. If we get up to, 350 likes, so about 70 more, we'll give away a second piece of gear. So just pound that like button, hit the subscribe as well while you're at it. So we got 2 games, then we got the Workbench play of the day, which has gone 3 for its last 3. We're looking to go 4 in a row tonight. We kind of touched on it
real quick. I got one comment for this dude that just said TLC equals MCW. That's a horrible comparison. TLC strokes. That's a terrible comparison. Now go on to the last 2.
MCW. Yeah, I mean, it's been a disaster.
Terrible.
Yeah, well, while you're at it, touch on that. You talked about a little bit that Lakers game. Touch on that one quickly.
I mean, the Lakers are literally a team that if it's a full-size slate, this is going to sound bad and lazy, but that's probably why I didn't realize Horton Tucker that day. I literally just don't look at their games on full slates. They're too good. They coast. The other team has troubles with their size and ability. I just ignore the games. I mean, it sounds lazy. People will take it. I don't think it is.
I mean, I don't think it is lazy though. I mean, that's part of the work. I mean, that's part of the work. You've determined that this is the best route forward. Like, why overcomplicate things? I think it's better for your DFS process to simplify it wherever you can, and that's simplifying your process.
And if just say someone got rolled out like LeBron or AD, I'll just circle back and then I'll look at it then. I'm not going to look at it before then, though. And if they play, I'm not even going to think about it. Like, it's never going to cross my mind that game unless there's injury news.
That works. JSU?
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with Tony where this game is a stay away unless we get news that kind of changes, everything. Like if we get news that AD or LeBron is out, then I'm going to have some interesting guys just depending on when we get that news because, if we get it at 9:30, it's going to be a lot harder to move things around. But
Yeah.
I'll circle back. Like Tony said, it's the same thing. Like this is a game where I'm not very high on, and it would take a big injury, someone to be out, to get me on this game.
Yeah, no, I think it's a perfectly acceptable approach to the Lakers team on big slates. If it was a 5-game slate, different approach. We're talking a full 10-game slate where we're looking to narrow things down, and you need to be doing that. I mean, you definitely do in your process. So last game of the night, Clippers Warriors, about a 230 total. Clippers favored by 6.5, and yeah, I mean, I don't really see myself going here a ton. Paul George will be in there, Kawhi will be in there. Clippers obviously have a pretty deep team. On the Warriors side, Curry's finally fully priced. Not the best matchup here, but I mean, he can get it done against anyone. Wiggins is questionable. If he's out, I mean, maybe Oubre gets a little bit of a boost. I think Draymond Green is the one guy that's interesting. I mean, the minutes are finally starting to creep up. He's been around third. He was 31 last time out. 27 2 games ago. So it seems like you can kind of project him for 30 minutes in a close game. He can contribute across the board. He's 5.1K on both sites. I do have interest in him. He's probably the only play, though, for me in this game. It's just Draymond on, I think, FanDuel and DraftKings he's in play. JSU, do you got anything from this one?
Yeah, I hit on that 30 minutes last time out where I talked about it, where I thought his minutes were steadily going up, and I thought that last game was where he'd get that 30-plus minute game. He did. Yeah. He got 31. Yeah. I don't think they're going to push him crazy, though. I don't think we're going to get much more out of him. Maybe he gets 32, 33, but, I think the way they kind of rotated him, where he plays like Steph most of that first quarter, comes out, sits a lot of that second till, the 5-minute mark, maybe 6, but 5-minute mark of that game, and then comes back in to finish out the quarter. That's what they want to do with him. So I like it, though. I'm a big Draymond guy, 5,100. Steph Curry had a really bad game against this same Clippers team last time out. 1 for 6 from 3, 5 for 17 from the field. If that happens again and they have no Wiggins, they might get spanked here, Tony. Yeah. And this is a tough matchup for a guy like Steph because we got long defenders and PG and Kawhi, and Pat Beverly's a tough defender. It's a tough spot for Steph, but I mean, he can always get it done.
Tony?
I mean, sometimes you just feel like you're in the zone with stuff, and I feel good about the NBA right now. I feel good about the takes. I just have no interest in this game. I mean, I know I'm taking a hard stance on these late games. I'll have a little interest in Toronto with the news. I'm playing 3 teams like I usually do. I'll probably play one team where I sit on the Toronto for 2 or 3 spots that game. But overall, I really don't like these late 3 games. And on my 2 main teams, 2 of my 3, I'll probably honestly fade the last 3 games completely. No late dudes. I won't wait on the news. I'll hope Fox plays. I'll hope the news kind of breaks my way again where LeBron, AD play, Fox plays. Yeah. I just don't like the late game, so I'm not going to force it just because of news while everyone backloads. I like the early games. I love Boston. I love the Nets game. There's early games I love. There's no reason for me not just to play those guys and then take a chance late. I get it. I mean, I know there's the people will not agree with that, but I feel pretty zoned in right now, so I feel good about it.
When Big T gets hot, he gets hot, and he's hot right now. So that's one thing to note. All right, we have 2 more things before we get on out of here. JSU, if you could find us somebody in the chat that's going to win the gear, and then we have the Workbench play. So both those things are coming up. Guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Goes a long way in us continuing to do these videos for free. Head on over to Run Pure Sports. We have that promo code that is Workbench21. It gets you 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. Includes all our content. We don't do the thing where for basketball you pay $300, for football you pay $250, baseball you pay $450. If you want the premium, you pay another $100. Where they just keep hitting you. One price gets you everything on our website. Showdown content, NFL playoffs, baseball, basketball, tennis, NASCAR, MMA. Our MMA product, I think, is by far the best in the industry, by the way. I think all our content is by far the best in the industry, but the MMA, Titletown does a very good job. We joked on Title early on about his ugly mug on the pre-show picture, but his MMA content is phenomenal. So head on over to runpuresports.com. Check us out. That promo code is Workbench21. JSU, do we have a gear winner?
Yeah, I'm combing through right now. As I comb through, I do just want to say, if you guys aren't members and you if we've made you money, this show's made you money, and you want to support us and you want to keep following us, get over there, check us out. We give out our core plays every single slate pretty much for these main slates for NBA, NFL, all these sports, and it's just going to be nonstop. So just get over there. If you're looking at, you don't have a lot of time, you're working. I get it. Like, people have 9-to-5 jobs. They can't sit and research every day. Well, we are. And then we give out our plays and we do these shows. And I do obviously the Up to Lock show, where when we get news on the fly, I break it down and I tell you exactly what my plan is with that news. And I think that's like one of the more invaluable things specifically for NBA as a sport. Not really any other DFS sport, in my opinion, is as important as NBA when it comes to news and like last second news. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that breaking down NBA late news, I think, is the hardest thing you can do accurately in DFS. Like, honestly, like taking that news with 10, 15 minutes to go and analyzing it, combing through who's in play, who gets a boost, who doesn't get as big as a boost as people think. Like, that is the most valuable skill in all of DFS, is breaking late NBA news. The fact that one of the best in the industry is taking you right up to lock doing it is it's invaluable, like you said.
Yeah, so we got a winner here, Dylan Moon. My guy Dylan Moon, he goes, JSU with the bangs only on one side, low. Let me get a T and go through the other side. Oh, man, you win. You smack me in the face and you win a T-shirt, Dylan. That was great. So.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Oh, man, I got to go to the shop. That's what it means. Yeah. I got to get it fixed for Dylan.
Can't you afford a haircut? I mean, geez, do us a favor.
They're only taken by appointment. It's all like they schedule out. Literally, it takes 2 to 3 weeks for my barber, like for the guy I go to. They schedule out months.
Bird Dog, appreciate it, man. He said he went from a couple of our competitors and landed here. Love that, man. We appreciate that. We're really proud of the product we're putting out there. And if you ever have any questions, reach out to any of us. But yeah, we appreciate you giving us a chance for sure, man. All right, now comes the time. It's the premier segment on this show. A lot of pressure. We've gotten 3 in a row. We're going to go 4 in a row tonight. The Big T Workbench play of the day. Let's go.
The good thing is I have had this play locked in since the start of the show.
Oh, you kept under wraps a little bit. I like that.
The last couple of days, I've thrown out a few. Like last night, I said it was down to like 4 people. They all crushed, by the way, not to mention that. They all crushed. But tonight it was just one guy. Before I get into that, though, I gotta sell JSU a little more about this. If you guys aren't watching this Up to Lock show, you're just doing it wrong, because there is literally no one better in the industry at bringing you up to lock, and he's doing it with tournaments. You pull up the cash sheet that has all the plays while you're listening to it. There's just no reason not to do it for $80 a month, $100 with the bet side. Do it. Now to the Workbench play. There's only one guy for me tonight, and I've gone cheap the last few days. I've gone with the cheap guys, thrown some punts. We're going back up top tonight, up the top shelf. Mr. Julius Randle, baby, 9,800. He's going to get us a 60-plus point game. He's going to be under 10% owned. He is going to crush tonight. Get us into the weekend, because it's important. We'll have the football show Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
We won't be on the basketball again until Monday. We got to get us through the weekend with some good solid weekend
good pounding.
Action.
Yeah.
Mr. Randall's going to bring it in for us, boys. Let's go.
Mr. Randall is going to keep the Workbench rocking all weekend long. We'll be back Monday with the next Workbench plays. Oh, and a windmill. Oh, wow. This could be like a 70-point fantasy performance. This might not be a 60. This could be a 70. Julius Randle coming in. Expensive price tag. People will be off him for that price tag. but we like him to get it done. I like that, man. That's a good.
Tony's feeling himself a little too much. We better get off this show before he starts doing crazy things.
It's getting a little bit too much. JSU is heading over right now for the Live Before Lock show, so head on over to runpuresports.com. Get subscribed. Check out that show.
I'm sure in with him today too. For whoever.
Oh man, Big T is feeling it.
I'm feeling it. Let's go,
JSU. Let's go, boys. All right. Good luck to everyone. Make sure you check out our content for NFL. We'll be back Monday with the same show, same schedule all week. For JSU, for Big T, I'm Hoop. Good luck to everyone in your contest tonight.